family of shows. Available everywhere.
Hello everyone and welcome back into the GSMC Dead Ball Sports Podcast, brought to you as always by the GSMC Sports Network. And for our fourth segment of today's show, we'll be previewing another excitingly thrilling basketball game taking place in the Western Conference tonight between the Red Hot Rockets of Houston and the Denver Nuggets, a team who have been quite bizarre to say the least to analyze if you're a podcaster like me, but ultimately should still be a thrilling affair in the Western Conference. Both of these teams fighting for playoff positioning. Both of these teams seemingly contenders for that Western Conference championship spot. But ultimately, one more surprisingly so, and one not necessarily surprisingly so, but disappointingly so in how players around Nikola Jokić have played. And we'll talk about that a little bit more as the segment goes on, but I do want to address how the Rockets have begun to relish games like this as a surprise contender out west. 26-12, sit just behind the Oklahoma City Thunder in the Western Conference standings, and have really proven that on both ends of the floor, they're one of the most balanced teams and one of the most well-coached teams. Kudos to former Celtics coach Ime Udoka. I always love throwing love to former Celtics coaches and players for building a culture in which every single player can thrive over there in Houston. And going up against the Nuggets tonight, this is a game they're going to have to continue to relish now that they are a true contender for a championship. And so they can't take this game lightly, and I think that every single one of their players loves playing a team like the Nuggets. Alperen Şengün is practically chomping at the bit as an undersized big man trying to go toe-to-toe with Nikola Jokić. So I can tell you this Rockets team is motivated. And then if you're the Denver Nuggets, you have started gaining momentum. You have some nice wins. Last night's game against the Mavs, big one in terms of getting secondary weapons going, like Jamal Murray, who had a season-high 42 last night. But that's going to have to be something that happens on a consistent basis. And this is a Rockets team that's well-rested, highly motivated to play someone like you, and you're going to have to go out there again if you're, say, Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, or Christian Brown, and really try and step up your game to help aid Nikola Jokic's MVP caliber play, almost averaging a triple-double with no support. And so that's an interesting development there. But let's talk about the reason why this matchup became fascinating. And it's the Rockets' meteoric rise in every single statistical category that matters, especially on the defensive side of things. And that's what I want to pinpoint here. They're third in defensive rating, points allowed, and three-pointers allowed. So they really take a lot away from you on the defensive side of the floor. In terms of offense, they're led by dauntless players such as Jalen Green, Alperen Şengün, and a veteran point guard, Fred VanVleet, who don't really care what you think of them. Jalen Green is becoming one of the best stars in the league in terms of driving to the rim with relentlessness and aggression and passion. Alperen Şengün, on both ends of the glass, one of the most important rebounders for his team in the entire NBA. And he plays with heart defensively no matter who he's going up against. And going up against a guy who he's definitely not going to have the size advantage against, look for him to try and create opportunities for steals defensively to get the Rockets out in transition and ultimately score fast break points, which is something that they really relish doing against teams like the Denver Nuggets. And the Nuggets side of things, I don't really have many notes for them right now in terms of overall play, but they are a team that I feel can evolve outside of the Jokic-centric ideologies we all think they have. It's just going to stem down to guys like Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. stretching the floor, making it difficult for certain players to key in on Jokic defensively, because that's what they need. And Jokic, again, still averaging triple-double-like numbers, having an MVP caliber season, most likely going to win his fourth straight. But in order for it to mean something, in order for Denver to challenge for championships, all of his stats need to be important to the overall outlook of the team. You can't just be putting up stats to put up stats. And you need to come up with results. And you've been getting results a little bit over these past couple of weeks. But you're going to have to do it against tougher teams, and the Rockets are one of them. And the Rockets don't owe anything to anybody. They're playing well within themselves and the culture of their team. And they're basically playing with house money in all of these Western Conference games. So, if you're the Denver Nuggets, and you don't have the rest that the Rockets have over these past couple of days, you're going to have to prove that you're the more experienced team through your secondary players. Because that's always, in my opinion, been the consistent problem with the Denver Nuggets. They haven't necessarily showed up for Nikola Jokić in games of this magnitude, even though it's in the regular season. And that's what's off-putting about analyzing the Denver Nuggets. The Houston Rockets are such a great team to analyze, on the other hand, because they're easy to analyze. They're doing every single thing well. And I think that in terms of the outlook of the league, their team primed for the next couple of years, them and the Thunder, to duke it out in the Western Conference. This game could potentially be a dud. And a lot of you might be skeptical about why I'm analyzing it, because it might not even be important for the outlook of this season. But for the Rockets, I guarantee you, every single win is a benchmark for them, because it's proven that they have staying power in this very crowded Western Conference. And not a lot of teams can hold bragging rights like that. The Denver Nuggets included, because look at where the Denver Nuggets are now. They're in a loaded Western Conference where teams quickly rose around them, and they're kind of stuck in this purgatory where, yes, they had the one championship where Jokić went beast mode in the postseason, led them to a very hard-earned championship trophy. But now, all these young teams, the Rockets, the Thunder, the Grizzlies, are developing all these players around you. And if you're the Denver Nuggets, and you have the same core that you've had for the past decade or so, really, you have to figure out a way to prove to these other teams that you still have a say in the reckoning. And I don't necessarily know if the Denver Nuggets buy into that a lot in the regular season. I feel like they're starting to become a team that wants to focus more on what happens in the postseason because it matters more. But if you allow these teams to get motivated with wins over you, chances are the regular season won't matter anymore because you're slowly falling down the Western Conference standings. So if I'm the Nuggets, I have to find ways to continue to push the envelope with Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. and really get them prepared for this Western Conference renaissance. Because I do feel there's merit in what the Denver Nuggets are doing, keeping a lot of their core. Yes, a lot of their core has not been healthy, and that's a big reason as to why over the past couple of years they haven't really capitalized on their success. But this feels like a year where anything can happen in the West. And in order for you to pounce, almost every single player on your team has to be playing in rhythm. And I can't say that about the Nuggets. I can say that about Houston. I can say that about OKC. I can start to say that about teams like Memphis and potentially say the Dallas Mavericks when everyone is healthy. But right now, who's to say that this Denver Nuggets team will be motivated for a game like this if all of their stars aren't buying in? And I feel like, yes, we look at this game as at face value, as a regular season game, and we view things like rest and who played last night for Denver and who didn't. Then potentially I can say, yes, this is an evenly matched game, and I think the Denver Nuggets will be ready for it. And if Jamal Murray is the only player last night who played more than, say, 30 minutes, then this overall Denver Nuggets roster should look good. But I'm viewing this game as someone who believes in this Houston Rockets team, not just in the regular season for games like this, but in postseason games, in games of a bigger magnitude, because they're starting to play like a team that is motivated. They have a coach who clearly has developed an identity of fast-paced offense, aggressive defense, and they're really buying into it. I love each and every single one of these players in terms of the specific traits that make them special and really help make their team special. And as a result, it's adding up to wins. And now they're a team I can say aren't sneaking up on anyone anymore. And this is a game that, yes, at face value, like I said, probably won't mean much, whether it be in the standings or for the futures of these teams. But looking at how the Rockets have improved and looking at how the Nuggets have stayed in this kind of purgatory state, this could be a momentum shift in terms of how people view teams like the Rockets, Thunders, and Grizzlies trying to knock the Nuggets off of their perch, because it's starting to become reality very quickly. Let me know what you think about this game in the comments. Should be a thrilling one either way, no matter what I say. And I might even watch this game, but hey, this is going to be a good one in the Western Conference. But coming up next, a little bit of change of plan, improvisational segment. I'm going to be previewing a game involving Arsenal, but not the one that I thought was taking place this weekend. I'll be back to explain after this short break.